G'day, Steel Nation. Welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia, and also welcome back to the Steel Curtain Network. However, if you are new here, welcome to both channels and on the audio side, Steel Curtain Network, and also on the YouTube side, Steelers Nation Australia. My name is Mark. I'm the host here on both programs on Australia or G'day Steelers Nation as well on SEN, and I welcome you to the channel and all things Pittsburgh Steelers talk. We are so close. We are so close, Steeler Nation, to training camp. It is just a few days away around the corner, and it's starting to get me very pumped up. I'm keen. I've been a Steelers fan now, I think, since 2002. Been rocking the black and gold for a long time now. For 23 years, I've been to Pittsburgh, I think, four times. I've seen two games, one in actually both on Christmas, which one was a loss versus the Chiefs, and the other Christmas Day game was Steelers versus Ravens in 2016. I'm like an Australian ninja. I've been there four times. I love the city. I love the food, the culture, the beer, the people. Love it. Have a good time over there. Every single time I've been over, it was so cool when I went there for the very first time. It was just after Christmas. I think it was like January sometime. I think no, actually it was around Super Bowl. I think it was around Super Bowl when I was there for the first time I went to Pittsburgh, and I was hoping that the Steelers would be there as well, and I could watch the on the TV screen the Steelers play in it. It must have been like Super Bowl 49, and whenever it was that the Seahawks should have ran the ball and they threw the ball and the Patriots won. I was there my first time in Pittsburgh, and I've always loved the city. I've had a great time. So, can we do that? Can the Steelers go this year? And I think now the fan base is getting pretty keen. We've talked about the Rodgers thing. We've talked about our rookies. We've talked about a lot of our free agents being, DK Metcalf and those guys. TJ Watt signed his big contract and his extension. We talked about that, last week. I think the one thing, though, we haven't really talked about and what I want to bring up in the first part of the episode, before we get into some training camp stuff and who we're looking out for and what we need to expect, and maybe look into some training camp and preseason games and stuff like that. Have we, Steeler Nation? Have we talked about on this channel, on this Steeler Nation Australia, and also on Steel Curtain Network? Have we talked about of the possibility? Can the Pittsburgh Steelers actually win a Super Bowl in 2025 season or 2026? Now, the Super Bowl will be, I believe it's going to San Francisco for Super Bowl 60. I'm pretty sure it's San Francisco for Super Bowl 60. Now, 10 years ago, I went on a crazy mission, a crazy, side mission. I got my Canadian work visa, and I lived and stayed in Canada for about a year and a bit. Now, before I did so, before I moved to Canada, my goal was to go to a Super Bowl host city, and that was Super Bowl 50. Super Bowl 50. I was there in the city. I couldn't go to the actual game because tickets are like $4,000 or $5,000, or they're probably like $10,000 now. They're really expensive. But I was in San Fran, and I was trying to, I saw former players. I even remember I walked past. I think it was Ike Taylor. I think he was there. I saw Ryan Reynolds. There was celebrities everywhere. So, can the Pittsburgh Steelers can they have a date in 2026 versus an NFC team? Can they win one? And we're going to try and break it down as best we can with some pros and some cons and some, right now, because I'm so excited, I'm so keen for the season. Right now, there's just a lot of hope and there's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of can our team, can Rodgers go on a run, for his last season, to end on a good note and on a really good note that he wins the Super Bowl. And you know what? I think a lot of Steelers fans, if the Steelers were to win number seven under Mike Tomlin and under Aaron Rodgers, this year in 2025, and what a crazy season it would be to maybe have the best defense, the number one defense, or could it be shades of 2008 when the Steelers were the number one defense in the NFL, and they had like what 13.4 points, average points a game against them? Could there be shades of that 2008 defense? and maybe Rodgers just needs to fling the rock to the running backs or have enough time in the pocket to deliver the football towards DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, and we see the second season, which is really technically the first season of Roman Wilson. Could this happen? Right? Could this happen? But yeah, 10 years ago, I moved to Canada, and before I did, I was in the city of San Fran. I went to Alcatraz, went all over to do all the touristy things. I was there for about 7 days, and it was a really great time. It was a fantastic time. I met some cool people, went out in town, had a few drinks here and there, a few sherbets, a few pizzas here and there too. But on game day was insane. It was just so much fun to be involved in a bar inside San Fran, watching the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos when they won number 50 for Peyton Manning. Could we see something similar 10 years later that Aaron Rodgers goes into his last year and the Pittsburgh Steelers are hoisting the Lombardi? Now, some of you out there who are driving on the road or making, food in the kitchen or having a sip of their beer or, drinking a coffee might be thinking this guy from Australia is absolutely insane. What is he talking about? There's no way the Steelers can win a Super Bowl, let alone right now. They haven't won a playoff game, as we know, in 7 years or 8 years. So, can the Steelers go out there and win a Super Bowl? Yes, they can. Technically, they can because all 32 teams have a chance to win a Super Bowl. It just got to put the right piece in the right time. And are the Steelers ready to do so? Are they ready to go on a bit of a run? Here's a few reasons why I think they can. Now, as much as I am against Aaron Rodgers, not a huge fan of his personality, but I'm slowly getting around him being a quarterback. And maybe once I start seeing him play football against the Jets or training camp comes around the corner, I'll be a fan of Aaron Rodgers. Not a huge fan of him, but maybe slowly I can, turn a certain point and then never go back and be a Steelers fan of Aaron Rodgers. But the thing is, he does give us a really good chance, to be honest, to go on a Super Bowl run. The Steelers quarterback situation hasn't really been figured out since Big Ben, and now Aaron Rodgers going to his last year, walking off to the sunset. The script is almost written where that if Rodgers can play good football in terms of not turning it over, being smart with throwing the football on time, in terms of the receiver routes, and hopefully the offensive line can keep up their part of the bargain, and Rodgers isn't running around too crazy because he's not as mobile anymore. If he can deliver the football on time, quick, fast, out of the pocket, be safe with the football, get it to the running back or find his number one target, which we assume is going to be DK Metcalf. This could be where Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers could be maybe a top 15, maybe top 20, top 10 offense. Just score enough points, which would mean score about 27, 24 points a game, where our defense can only allow 20 points a game, and we have a chance. Like, when you think about it, if you like him or don't like him, Aaron Rodgers does give the Steelers the best chance to win a Super Bowl in 2026 and go to San Fran next year in February. He just does. You think about it, I'm not a huge fan, but he definitely gives you the best chance to win a Lombardi and hoist number 7, right? That's one reason. Another reason is I think our running backs and our receivers and some of the weapons on our team also gives us another reason. Now, I know some people are starting talking about where we need a receiver number 2. Hey, Mark, we need a receiver number 2. And I get it. I understand that on paper. It doesn't feel like we have a receiver number 2. However, let's count the weapons. DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Fryermuth, Warren can be used as a pass catcher, right? Caleb Johnson, hopefully he can stand out to be a pass catcher too. And he's also a weapon running the football. You've got Darnell Washington, Jonu Smith. He could be your receiver number 2 or pass catcher number 2. That's 4, 5, 6 so far. And then you'd have as well Roman Wilson. We don't know what to expect from him going into training camp. He was injured last year. Those are some of the blokes that could be, or our players that could be the option for receiver number 2. DK Metcalf, Austin, Jonas Smith, Fryermuth, these guys here, and hopefully have a good connection with Rodgers. And why can't they be the weapons that Rodgers finds, that goes past and we are going a bit of a playoff run, and I know I'm jumping the gun, I 100% am, but I don't think on this channel that I have talked about, or this G'day Steelers Nation on Steel Curtain Network, that I have talked about the chances or the probability of the Steelers winning a Super Bowl in 2025. But it can happen, right? And that's our offensive weapons. Let's switch to the other side. Our defense. Their Steelers just signed TJ Watt to a 3-year extension, and they have him until 2029, right? We've got to strike while the iron is hot, and the iron is hot right now. Steelers defense, even though they lost Minka in the trade to get back Jalen Ramsey as a cornerback, and also his details to have come out as well for I think the 4 years that he's going to be with us. So cornerback, you got Joey Porter Jr., you got Darius Slay. You've got the contract that was signed with Deshaun Elliott. You've got Cameron Haywood going probably into his last year, I think, or maybe next year. The team right now on defense, it looks like they can be a top three defense, and reminds me of a team like a 2008 defense where let's keep them. Let's keep the other team, play outstanding football, hit them as hard as we can legally, and sack them and pressure and have our cornerbacks and secondary rise up and play man to man or whatever it is. I don't care. Play zone, play whatever to get the job done, to get it done, to scheme well and just play better football than you did when it was Steelers versus Ravens in that 299-yard game. At the same time, though, however, the Steelers drafted well. They drafted Derek Harmon and Y.A. Black, who I'm really excited to see in training camp. And this defense could be the Steelers' best defense in a very long time. That looks like on paper. They've sorted the drama out. TJ Watt has now signed his deal, and I think he wants to strike while the iron is hot, and the iron is hot 110%. And they're ready to get this team to win the division, first of all, try and win the division, go 12-5, 13-4 if you win it, if you can get that many wins, and play outstanding defense, keep healthy. You have other guys that behind TJ Watt or working with TJ Watt with Nick Herbig and Highsmith and Jack Sawyer who can rotate. Our D line now can rotate. I'm excited for our Steelers on defense. So if you were to say that, and you're talking to someone at the bar or another Steelers fan out there and say, do you think we can win it this year? And this conversation happens all the time. It happens on YouTube, happens in real life, happens when you're getting your hair cut from the barber. Someone says, who do you support? You say, I support the Pittsburgh Steelers, black and gold. And they say, do you think we have a chance this year in 2025? And they go, well, I think we do, even though the history of our playoff success hasn't been in our favor the last few years. I do think the Steelers have a certain chance because we have Rodgers, because we have some weapons on offense, because the O line is getting better and starting to build up. And yes, there are question marks around the O line, and maybe having Jones on the left, and he hasn't played there before, or even have the question marks around Troy Fautana because he's coming back from injury for the first season. But it feels like the Steelers have a chance. And if you start to break it down in each position and look into players, and like, okay, maybe the defense can hold up their own bargain, the part of the bargain, and they can keep teams under 20 points. And if TJ Watt has an outstanding year like he did the last time he had a contract extension where he went like almost close to 20, I think it was 24 sacks, and he almost broke the record and he won Defensive Player of the Year, that could happen again. Easily could happen again in 2025. We'll be going a bit of a run because our team is successful. I understand people get very frustrated around 9-8, 10-7, or 11-6, and we get the first playoff round exit. It's very frustrating. I get frustrated too, being a fan, but at the same time, that what Omar Khan, I think the draft has been telling us, they're getting bigger up front on the offensive line position, and they're getting bigger up front on the defensive line position, and also trying to stop the run where the Ravens run over us, the Eagles run over us, and the Chiefs, we were no match. They need to start playing competitive football and stay healthy late into the season. And yes, that's easy for me to say. A bloke in his room talking Steelers football from Australia. It's so easy for me to say, but I will be here to cheer them on each and every moment as they have a chance to hoist a Steelers a Lombardi, and Steelers can reach number 7. So let me know in the comments below, guys, on YouTube, if you believe the Steelers can hoist a Lombardi. Have they got a chance? What is their chance? Is there a certain percentage that the Steelers, Is it like 15%? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 0%? Are people just fed up with, Mike Tomlin and they're not going to win with Mike Tomlin? What are we all feeling? I do think that this year is a better team than last year, just based on the personnel around the defensive line and offensive line. And also, I think Rodgers, if he wants to go out swinging and take on, the NFC North and beat them 4-0, he wants to go out swinging and hoist the Lombardi one more time and go out a champion and go out to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. This would be the year. It would be super crazy because the last time that Rodgers won a Super Bowl was versus us. It was Green Bay versus Steelers, right, in Super Bowl 45. Imagine 15 years later in Super Bowl 60, it's going to be Rodgers hoisting the Lombardi to finish his career for our Steelers in the black and gold. Alrighty, Steel Nation, let's go to a bit of a break here on Steel Curtain Network and also a bit of a break here on Steelers Nation Australia. After the break, I think what we might do is try and get you guys amped up, pumped up, and talk about some of the training camp stuff that is happening in terms of they starting very, very soon. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm very keen. I'm very keen for this season as I do come around this time. I'm very keen to see what happens. Like it's anyone's dance. All 32 teams all start 0-0. Even though the Bengals have never won one and the Browns have never won one, they still have a chance mathematically at the start to win a Super Bowl. But we know our Steelers have a better chance because we are going to absolutely pummel the Bengals and Browns in 2025 in our division. Alrighty, Steel Nation, welcome back. Welcome back to G'day Steelers Nation, and also welcome back to the Steel Curtain Network. In the first part of the episode, I was talking about our chances and how likely is it that the Steelers can win a Super Bowl, and it's going to be Super Bowl 60 in San Fran. Now, like I said before, there's probably like a 10%, maybe 15% chance. There are certain pieces at play. I think this team is going to be very competitive, and I'm also looking forward to training camp coming up. And training camp is just around the corner. If you guys don't know, training camp, the dates are, I'll bring up the dates right now. Training camp dates were released a few months ago, but it's going to be on Thursday, your American time, I believe. Thursday, your American time. I hope so. That's where it comes from, thesteelers.com. July 24th is open to the public, and then it goes from the July 25th. So I think the players start to walk into the building at Latrobe around Wednesday, and they start doing a lot of the interviews and stuff like that. And then also one of our first preseason games is Saturday, August 9th, preseason game at Jacksonville, 7 p.m. on KDKA TV. Now, for me here in Australia, I'll have to watch that game on Sunday. And I'll be doing something very, very crazy. And if you do want to check it out, if you are on the audio side on Steel Curtain Network, make sure if you want to, this is crazy, but I'll be doing a 24-hour stream to celebrate the Steelers season in the watch party with the Steelers versus Jaguars on August 9th. I'll be trying to go live at 24 hours. Not too sure if that's going to work. I've got some things in mind and certain podcasts coming on in terms of that, but it should be a lot of fun, and we're going to give it a red hot crack to start the season and just go absolutely wild on YouTube and yeah, have a good time. So I'm keen for that. But training camp, guys, is around the corner. We finally made it. I hope everyone enjoyed their summer. Everyone enjoyed their barbecues and went out. It's funny because when I think about America, I think like, American beer. I think hot dogs. I think lake. I think like all these kind of Americana stuff. You go to the lake, you jump in the boat, you go fishing, you go like wakeboarding or whatever it may be. You have barbecues, throwing the football around, talking about how good your team is and compared to other teams. And the next minute, around this time when training camp happens and then preseason football starts to get a bit colder. Then it goes into like your winter and it starts snowing, and the next minute it's like Christmas and Thanksgiving. So the Americana, I think you guys are just getting through your summer. Then training camp comes, and then it's almost football season. The college football season is back to. I don't follow college football, but it is back in a few weeks' time. But with training camp around the corner. I've said it once, I'll say it twice. I'm very keen. I'm very keen to see Caleb Johnson play. I'm very keen to see Peyton Wilson play on the defensive side because I think he's going to pair pretty well with Patrick Queen. I'm keen to see some of these rookies like Derek Harmon and the guys that were taking the draft. We get to see them in pads and wear shorts and get amongst the Steelers defense. But I think our defensive line is going to be a lot better than it was last year. Derek Harmon, the rookie, Keanu Benton, Cameron Haywood, three big fellas up front, and then you're going to rotate some guys. And also, this is the time of year too, where there's going to be a lot of position battles too, like who's going to be behind them on the depth chart. Can Isaiah Loudermilk make the team? Can DeMarvin Leal make the team? When you look to the Steelers defense and the overall players right now, you have what's this 3, 6, 9, 12. There's like 12 defensive players going all the way back to a bloke called Slade Jacob on the depth chart at defensive tackle. So there are 90 men on the roster that go into camp. There's so many position battles that are happening from blokes from Iowa like Logan Lee, and can they make the team? And that's what you want. You want the best people in camp. You want them fighting. You want the backs on backers. I'm always it's so fun to watch backs on backers with Warren, hitting someone hard, and I think was it last year that Warren or the year before that last year that Warren took on Atlanta Roberts. That was a really good battle too. So defensive line's going to be intriguing to watch. And now TJ Watt signed his contract, so there's no drama. Like there's zero drama from the NFL media talking about going into training camp. Well, TJ Watts, sit out. No, he won't sit out. He'll be partaking in activities. There's some storylines like Cole Holcomb coming back from his injury. I wish him all the best. Will Mark Robinson make the team now because he got Carson Brunner, the son of the former tight end Brunner? Will he make teams? There's a lot of different things like that, and then what players are going to make this team. And overly, it makes the team better. These are all the mini storylines that gets us super pumped up. And I know I'm sticking on the defensive side first because that side intrigues me so much because it reminds me of the good times that like 2008 and James Debo Harrison running down the sideline with the 990. I love defense was always, if I were to watch one part, if it's offense or defense, and I know we can score points with the offense, but defense was always more fun to watch for me. I just love the fact that they can run around the corner, sack the quarterback, force fumble, interception, William Gay to the house, or Debo Harrison to the house, or Brett Kiesel to the house one year. I just love that style of defense. So it's going to be fun to watch these guys go to camp. Like Cole Holcomb comes back, all right. Him having the injury, he's now back from his injury, so I can't wait to see that. The new players too. The new players like Darius Slay in uniform, Juan Thornhill, Jalen Ramsey, those kind of blokes on the defense are going to be very exciting to watch. And then when you turn to the offense too, with all the rookies and you talk about new players, DK Metcalf in uniform, Robert Woods, the receiver. How's he going to fit into this offense? One big thing, you know what? I went over it again. Thinking about training camp. The one big thing I think everyone's really excited for, to be honest, is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wearing number 8. Number 8 wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. I know he was there, I think, for the 3-day mini camp, but the fact to see him in uniform at Latrobe, which is like, so significant towards the Steelers' history and lore of the whole organization. Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler wearing number 8 for our team. So that is crazy. That is insane. So that's going to be fun, exciting to watch him as well. By the way, guys, I'm trying to get you pumped up. I'm trying to get you to block out the negative noise. And we can't do this. We can't win a playoff game. I'm trying to set the scene where this could be a possibility. The Steelers could raise Lombardi in 2026 in San Fran for Super Bowl 60. And I was there 10 years ago in Super Bowl 50. Super Bowl 60. Isn't that insane? You got Jonas Smith there at tight end. He's a new player. Mason Rudolph comes back to the team to help this team out and be a backup, be the best backup he can be. You got guys like Will Howard. How fun is that going to be to watch Will Howard be a quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, being QB3 and learning from the veteran and the future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Will Howard right now doesn't need to do much. He's got to sit back, learn his craft, learn how to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He doesn't need to be the savior right now to be the sixth round pick. Oh my goodness, we're starting him at QB1. No, they're going to the season with Aaron Rodgers. Rudolph will be number two. Will Howard can sit back and learn for this year. And if you're an Ohio State fan, you're probably a huge fan of Will Howard because he won you guys the championship last year in 2024. So there's some very exciting things happening on our Pittsburgh Steelers, right? And in terms of like the receiving position, who's going to be receiver number two? I've talked about that a little bit with John Smith, but Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson. And I'm a huge fan as well as Ben Skoranek. Can he be the receiver number 4 or 5 that can get some targets and do some good blocking? Like this is the fun part to be a Steelers fan, where we get to see 90 men come into the roster, and then after about 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, they cut the 90 men down to 53. They put 16 players on the practice squad, and we get ready. We get ready for Steelers versus Jets, Rodgers redemption game versus another redemption game, which is Justin Fields now. He's a Jet too. But I'm getting pumped. I'm excited and keen for this team because there are so many new faces that are new draftees welcoming to the black and gold, or they are veteran players or free agent players that are coming to the Steelers right now. It's such a different team from last year in 2024. Who would have thought we'd have Fields and Wilson, and now this year you've got Aaron Rodgers. The more I think about it, and we talked about it so much, but the more I think about it, Aaron Rodgers as a Steeler is going to be a wild ride. If you like him or don't like him, it's going to be a wild ride in itself. Aaron Rodgers, former Green Bay Packer, who beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 45, is now a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2025, has a chance to win a Super Bowl 60. I think, I think the NFL script writers should go with that. Go with that. Set the scene. Aaron Rodgers wins one against Green Bay. Steelers versus Green Bay again. It's Rodgers redemption. Super Bowl 60 in San Fran. I hope the script writers can go with that and find us a Steelers Super Bowl victory. I really do. Alrighty, Steel Nation. Thank you very much for listening to Steelers Nation Australia and also Steel Curtain Network and G'day Steelers Nation. I do appreciate everyone's time here on the podcast, on the audio side, on the YouTube side. So one big thank you to you guys, the listeners and the viewers and the fans of our team, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't wait for the season. I'm getting closer and closer toward training camp, closer and closer towards preseason football, where we get to see all the young blokes and all the free agent signings play. We get to see some, tackling. We get to see people tackle and defense tackle, and we get to see Warren run over someone. Football is back. It's always nice to have a bit of a break, and you never want to rush the off season. You don't want to, sometimes I find it crazy how like basketball, like just finished their NBA series a month ago or something like that, or last 2 months ago, and now they're already doing basketball's NBA summer. Baseball goes forever. NHL is starting back in October, and next minute it's like, okay, well, we have Steelers football back, but there's a long break. We haven't played or seen Steelers football since January, pretty much, and it was a playoff loss, so it's 6, 7, 8 months off. Then when we get back to it, everyone's in good podcast form. Everyone's ready to go. Everyone's keen. All the fans are keen. I'm keen. I'm keen to see someone run over someone. I'm keen to see the Bengals lose another year, which would be 60 seasons, I think. 60 seasons without a Super Bowl. I'm keen to see the Ravens do a first round playoff exit, all those weapons, and Lamar Jackson loses again. I'm keen to see the Browns go 2 and 14. It can happen. And I'm keen for our Steelers to have a chance. I just want our Steelers to have a chance. Rodgers can do that. I think our offense is on paper can do that. Offense on paper, our defense with TJ Watt, he can do that. The deal is massive. Cameron Hayward, this could be a year where the defense and the team rallies around Rodgers, rallies around our mate, our good mate, Cameron Hayward, which he could be going to his last year. Imagine that. Imagine if we could send off Cameron Hayward to be a Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 60 in San Fran. And he wins one and he walks off in the sunset and he plays one of his best years. And our defense only allows 14 points a game or average 14 points a game, or they have a lot of stale duck eggs where the Steelers are winning 27-0, just something like that. It would reignite our fan base to be one of the best football teams in the NFL. If we could win seven, imagine that. Imagine having a conversation with a Bengals fan or a Browns fan. The Steelers suck. Well, no, we don't. We have seven championships. It could be a possibility. Anyway, Steeler Nation, thank you for listening to Steelers Nation Australia. And also, thank you for listening to Steel Curtain Network and this program and podcast. G'day, Steelers Nation.